Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to look at the basics of the United States election process. We'll look at the campaign process, we'll talk about the voting process, and then finally we'll talk about the results and how you get to the election results. Alright, so let's take a look at a general outline of what happens. The first thing that happens is that a person declares to be a candidate for a specific political office. Now, after a person declares their candidacy, these candidates, these people, politicians, they go around and they campaign to win in primary elections held in each state. And we'll talk about what primaries are in a few minutes. Second thing that happens, citizens go out and vote in the primary, or what I like to call party elections. And the idea here is that the winners of the primaries of the party elections will be representing their political party in the final election, the general election. And so before you get to the general election, winners of each party's primary go around and campaign against each other. And then finally, in the general, we determine who actually wins that political seat. Now, when we're talking about the United States president, we do have something called the Electoral College. And the Electoral College is a group of people that are technically responsible for choosing the president. We will learn more about the Electoral College in Unit 5. But for right now, all you got to know, the Electoral College is a group of people that technically chooses the president. If you have any questions, ask your teacher and he or she can provide you some extra resources. Alright, so let's talk about step 1, declaring candidacy. The vocabulary word here is candidate. A candidate is a person who wants to win a political office. In 2012, all of these people wanted to be the Republican nominee. Okay? In order for each of these nominees to be on a state's voting ballot, each nominee had to get a certain number of people to sign a petition. Each state has different rules on how to actually get on the ballot. Usually, you have lots of political party members trying to be candidates. In 2012, when Barack Obama was running for re-election, nobody challenged him, but the Republicans had many people who wanted to be their party's nominee. And as you can see, there were 8 people right here, and eventually Mitt Romney became their party's nominee in 2012. Alright, the second step are the primary elections. The primary elections are when the voters decide who will represent their political party in the general election. A really simple way of remembering primaries, they are political party elections. This visual is, to me, the easiest way to remember how primaries work. You think of primaries as like a big old funnel. You start out with lots of candidates, and eventually it gets narrowed down into one winner. Now, this happens for the Republicans, this happens for the Democrats. You start out with many candidates, all from the same team, the same political party, and you end up with one winner per party. Now, after we know who are going to be, or who is going to be the candidate for each party, they go out and campaign. And the campaign is the process of attempting to persuade people, to convince them to get their vote. Some of the requirements to run a successful campaign, well, I would argue the most important is money. Without money, you can't do very much. So you need money to develop a good strategy. How are you going to get people to vote for you? You need money to pay people to run in your organization, people to write your speeches, go around the country and campaign on your behalf, especially if you're running for president. And you also need a positive public image. If the media, if your opponents are always putting you in a negative spotlight, it's going to make it really hard for you to win. Now let's talk just a little bit about money. What you have to know about money is that a private person can give up to $2,500 to a candidate. Now this number 2,500, it does change every couple years. It is set to inflation, so it'll probably go up when you see this video again, up to 2,800, and eventually it'll keep rising in small amounts. Now, companies and labor unions cannot give money directly to candidates. People cannot give as much as they want to candidates. And the goal here, the government, wants you to be able to donate to a candidate. That is a type of speech. Donating money is a way of showing your support. But if people can donate unlimited amounts of money directly to candidates, Congress and the Supreme Court has made laws to prohibit this because there is a fear of potential corruption, that if candidates are receiving large million-dollar checks from people, then these donors will get extra access from the members of Congress. One of the ways Congress and the courts have made it possible for groups to give money are through these things called political action committees, or PACs. These are organizations that collect money and then give it to candidates that they want. They can receive up to $5,000 per person. They can donate up to $5,000 to a candidate. They can collect millions and millions of dollars and give that money to as many candidates as they want, as they support. Alright, take a look here. This is from opensecrets.org, a great website if you want to spend some time looking at the funding of campaigns. And what you have here, are the cost of elections. These are the total costs going back to 1998. These are the total costs of congressional races, so adding up all the House and Senate races. And then these are the total costs of the presidential races. Now you'll notice in some of the years it says NA, not available, and that's because the president wasn't on the ballot in those years. We elect members of the House every 2 years. Senators are up every 6 years, and every 2 years approximately 34 senators are up for re-election. So that's why congressional races happen every 2 years, presidential races happen every 4 years. And you'll notice, we're not talking little bits of money here. We're talking billions of dollars raised and spent to help these people win political office. Now, where does all the money go? The most expensive part of a political campaign are the TV advertisements. And the reason why, candidates have to pay to create the ad, and then every time a TV station shows that ad, a candidate has to pay. And so if you're running an ad on many different television stations, many times a day, for many days, you're going to spend millions and millions of dollars. These are some ads in recent years kind of showing you how the candidates spend their money. Let's take a look at one. This is an Obama ad in 2012, and he's actually speaking in Spanish. Let's check this one out.
En los jóvenes conocidos como los Dreamers, veo las mismas cualidades que Michelle y yo tratamos de inculcar en nuestras hijas. Respetan a sus padres, estudian para superarse y quieren aportar al único país que conocen y aman. Como padre, me inspira. Y como presidente, su valentía me ha hecho recordar que ningún obstáculo es muy grande, ningún camino muy largo. Soy Barack Obama y apruebo este mensaje.
Alright, so as you can see, that is a Barack Obama ad in Spanish. Now, you should be thinking to yourself, why did Barack Obama take the time to record the ad and spend money to play this ad in Spanish? Yeah, well, Spanish-speaking voters are a big group, a growing group in the United States, and candidates of all parties are trying to get these people to vote for them. And in 2012, over 70% of Latinos voted for President Obama. That's a very large percentage of people, especially since this group is growing and growing in numbers. In 10, 20, 30 years, Latin Americans are going to make up a larger percent. And if Democrats continue to win this many Latino voters, it's going to make it very hard for Republicans to do well. All right, the last part of the campaign election process, if this thing will work. Ooh, ah, ah, technical difficulties. Ah, there it is. All right, the general election. So, the general election is when the voters choose who is going to be the winner of an election. This time, they can pick a person from any political party, and the way it works, the person who wins a plurality of votes, plurality means more votes than anyone else, wins. Pretty simple. So you have the Democratic nominee. This person was able to withstand all the primary opponents. You have the Republican nominee, was able to withstand all of the Republican opponents. Once they were officially nominated, they campaigned against each other, and the people get to decide in November who will be the winner in the general election. Alright, so that's the general election process, the entire election process. Very simple. It does alter for Congress and for the president, and you'll be doing some activities where you look at how we vote for Congress and how we vote for the president. But if you can understand the basics, the gist of what we just did, you should do great on all your future assessments. Have a terrific day.